Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
You like that? You like that?
Live on a Tuesday, a rare live episode of Purple Daily here with Judd Zolgad in the belly of the beast at Twin Cities Orthopedic Performance Center, wiping the OTA sweat off his brow. We're going to get
that right.
Judd's OTA observations from the press room here. He just actually got done with the Kevin O'Connell press conference, and you asked him about Justin Jefferson's absence. He gave an interesting, sort of mysterious response. So we'll get to all of this presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning resolution. TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. Learn more at TCL.com. And a shout out to our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, helping keep the lights on here at Score North and Purple Daily, helping it be a 365-day-a-year Viking show, even during the quote-unquote dead of the... What do you guys even talk about this time of year? Well, you're about to find out as we head into June later this week. But Federated's like having a great offensive line for your business, offering risk management and protection to help elevate the success of your business. Find out if your business, even if you're a next generation business owner, that's an area they specialize into. Find out if your business meshes with their expertise at federatedinsurance.com. All right, he's even like slightly out of breath, running over from the press conference area.
Press conference, practice fields to here. This isn't like the old days. You know, Winter Park was pretty compact back in the day. It's a good workout for me.
Yeah.
I'm healthier right now because of
get
it.
those
no question
steps.
about it in my mind.
Got to get those
exactly
steps
right.
in.
Exactly right.
So what is, we'll just throw it to you. You know, we'll kind of go through a list here, but what's your first observation? What's your biggest observation from practices or from the press conference? Where do you want to start today?
Well, I want to start with O'Connell's press conference, but it comes off a question about the second consecutive Tuesday that we have. And yes, Spaceman, I do have a great job. It's the second consecutive Tuesday that we have now had access. So, and there's 9 of these OTAs. They are voluntary. And again, I urge people not to panic about this, but for the second consecutive Tuesday, Justin Jefferson was not here. Harrison Smith, for instance, MIA last Tuesday, here today. And look, guys are missing and things, but you know what? I think when a star player is not there for a couple of OTAs, even though voluntary, I mean, he is one of absolutely the keys to the team, a guy who's considered a captain. So I asked O'Connell at the end of his press conference today, what's the expectation here? Do you expect to see him before the mandatory camp? And Kevin basically said, well, our turnout's been fantastic, first of all. Come on now. The turnout's been good. It's always good. It's been good. That he has had conversations with Justin that will remain private. So he was not going to delve into those. Basically said he'll show up when he shows up. I look forward to seeing him then. And look, I don't expect him to skip the 2-day mandatory camp in nearing mid-June, okay? But that being said, there were no promises made by O'Connell. And I have to think that this goes back to a topic that we addressed, I think, 3 months ago or so. And it's this. When you are in the midst of negotiating the type of contract that Justin Jefferson is going to get, and to be very clear, I think it's going to happen here, okay? So I don't think this is going to fall apart and he's not going to get a contract. He has 2 years left on his current contract, but they want to get the extension done now. When those talks are taking place, I think sometimes we think, oh, yeah, it's Justin Jefferson, simple. But we're talking about a guy that might be, as far as we know, gentlemen, trying to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the entire league, okay? And as we discussed 3 months ago, those things always hit snags. They always hit, they're never just going to get done easily. And so I can't help but put the pieces of the puzzle together a bit to think that Jefferson is only going to show up for mandatory events until that contract is done, which I at least think is interesting because there's no question every coach would like to have as many players as possible here, at least for a portion of the 9 workouts. And right now it's tracking where Justin Jefferson will not be here for any of those practices. So I can't dismiss this as not interesting. I'm not suggesting panic. I am suggesting that this, I think, is the natural course of a contract that's as sensitive as this one.
So just to be 100% clear, you don't think, you've covered the league for a couple decades, like, you don't think it's that there's tension between Jefferson and the team. This is all just sort of educated speculation. We're not in the room when his agent is talking to Kwesi, etc. Your sense is that, hey, with the magnitude of this contract, his agent's probably telling him, you don't need to go blow an ACL. I mean, he's gonna work, but that's the thing, he's gonna work on his own anyways. Like, he's clearly putting in a ton of time on his own, so he's an injury risk anywhere. But we don't want you cutting in a practice against a cornerback and then blowing out a knee. So it's mostly just, let's get the contract done, and then boom, we can go into training camp with, full security behind us.
That's my guess. When you're dealing with a player this talented, like, this isn't a nice player, right? Like, it's not like the Viking star, but he's
Hawkinson. Hawkinson's
exactly.
going to show up to OTAs.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Hell of a player. Nothing against him, but we're talking about a rare air type of player here. And yes, he could get hurt working out, but he's working out in Florida in probably completely controlled environments. Look, like here, they had today 11 on 11 team drills. Like, you can't completely control that. KJ Osborne made a catch. A defensive back landed on him. Now, I think he just knocked his wind out, but he was down for a while. And so, like, those are the type of things that I think your agent would say, let's not risk that. It's not worth it. But, like, to completely ignore this too, I think would be doing the community, the family that we've cultivated of all you folks out there, because I think it's at least worth talking about, because it sort of shows what the parameters of this contract are going to be and how important this one is to both sides. And the Vikings have not done a lot of contracts like this one. Like, they've done a lot of contracts with really good players. But again, we're talking about probably a top 5 player in this league. That's another step in, like, nuance of, it doesn't just get done simply. And there's always going to be, I think it's fair to say this, a little bit of angst on both sides, not long-term bad feelings, but they aren't easy contracts to get done.
So I'm just looking, by the way, just in terms of, like, what he may get, the most money ever guaranteed to a wide receiver, Cooper Kupp. $75 million total guaranteed. Tyreek Hill was $72.2 million. Stephon Diggs was $70. So we're talking about, and this is where it's like, to me, it's easy. I don't know why there has to be a drawn out process. Okay, so the top 5 total guaranteed, the highest guarantee. I'll even go further. Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. All of the 5 guys I just mentioned have gotten a multi-year contract. All of them were kind of in, like, their mid to late 20s. Jefferson's in his early 20s still, right? He's like 24.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Yep.
So maybe there's even more of a case for more. But so 60 million, 66, 70, 72, 75. Okay. 80. Well, it's not going to be 9. Is it going to be 90? Well, like, are we going to jump?
But I think there's also things that are talked about and discussed, and there's nuances in these contracts, Phil, that I think make it more convoluted than just that. Like, I'm sure they're asking for things that have not been asked for, right? Because it's a very rare contract. It's a very, but, guarantees of certain things.
Remove the green Skittles. Remove the green Skittles from the jar.
All of them out of the building. I'm just saying, I think that this is probably, with the way that O'Connell answered the question and said, we'll keep our conversations private. Like, there's nothing football-wise that is a problem here, right? Like, they just drafted a complimentary receiving piece, and we'll talk about that in a second. But, like, there's nothing from a football standpoint that would present a problem. So the only thing I can think, and it makes perfect sense, it's not shocking, is that until this contract gets done, I mean, we don't know. He's got 2 years left on his rookie contract, which the Vikings want him to play out. So, like, we don't know exactly what's going on. I just think it's interesting that the guy who is this important to this team, and there's no question about it, when he's here, is a captain type on this team, is not here.
By the way, so in terms of the other benchmarks, the biggest total value of a wide receiver contract is $140 million. That's Devontae Adams, and the total value is just kind of it's kind of fake. unless you see the guarantees, right? But Devontae Adams is 140 million. Tyreek Hill is the next with 120. Amari Cooper 100. AJ Brown 100. So 100. So the benchmarks are 140 total, and then 30 million a year is the highest average annual value. That's Tyreek Hill. There are 3 other guys at 25 million per year or more: AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. So the benchmarks they're talking about in terms of minimum right now, they're going to want to hit all these and go beyond, right? Probably 140 million a year minimum. That's the current. That would tie the current. So probably 150 million minimum.
Yes.
30 million a year, probably going closer to 33, 35 million a year. And then 75 million guaranteed is the current benchmark, probably closer to 80, 85. And then if you want to, I don't know, if you want a private jet as part of your contract, that's what I'd be curious to know. What are the other things that are holding this up? To me, unless he skips training camp, like if he doesn't show up to the mandatories in a few weeks, training camp in a month or 2 months, I guess, from now is sort of the real. If this thing lingers for 2 more months, now we have a problem. But right now, it's not a problem.
The minicamp would be an issue. Until then, it's not a problem. But I mean, just to go where Score North often goes before and recklessly speculate, there is a chance that if this team has said, you know what, we didn't draft a quarterback that we trust to start, especially in 2024, let's sit down again and think about Kirk coming back. Mm-hmm. Kirk's not going to come back for cheap. Like, it's going to cost you. So, there might be, that's the thing about this that I don't think we consider sometimes, just as a fan base too, is how much is at work here? So, if you decide to bring Kirk back, okay, you still want to pay Jefferson, but now you got to be cognizant of that. And how much of that cash could you dump into 2023 for an offset cap hit of sorts? So there's a lot of things here. Again, there's a lot of things that could be taking place that aren't the end of the world, but they certainly could play a definite role on why he is not here now with no obligation to have to be here other than it would help the team.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Should we keep going down
let's
Judd's list
go down
of,
the road. Yep.
Are we on the digital list again here on the phone?
Oh yeah. No, I was taking notes on my phone today. Because it's just
saving trees. Here, look at you.
I don't even care about the trees. Just simpler for me now. All right. The second thing, for the second consecutive Tuesday that we were out here, Jordan Addison did 0 work. And I said to O'Connell, what's that about? What's going on with him? Why isn't he doing work? And he said,
all the tough questions today. This is great, man.
And I don't even know their fastballs. They're transactional questions of very important people that aren't here or are in hoodies, much to my delight, because Jordan has a nice array of Vikings hoodies. He said that something came to light in the rookie camp, and he didn't say if he aggravated it then or if it was a problem, or because I said, is this a college problem that has come up now, or is this more recent than that? And he evaded the question. But this, for now, as far as I can tell, in all the OTAs that we are witnessing, and I would guess the ones that we aren't, wide receiver 1, KJ Osborne, who, as I said, got shaken up today. He came back. He was fine. But KJ is getting a ton of work as wide receiver 1. And what's really intriguing is Reagor and Naylor and Powell, who they signed from the Rams. All of those guys are backfilling in and taking the reps that Addison and or KJ would get if Jordan was practicing or Jefferson was here. So it is a prime opportunity. And I'm going to tell you one guy. He dropped one easy pass today in a red zone drill, which was bad. But he also made some nice catches. And I think there's something there. And it's a guy that we talked about, I think, late last season a few times. Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor made a couple of nice grabs. And I think there's a skill set there. That's going to give him a chance to play. Again, he dropped a pass he shouldn't have from Kirk, and that's one. But he also made the type of catches where you're like, okay, those are pro catches. So I would say if one guy stood out to me who's getting extra time going into his second year, Jalen Naylor, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a 6th-round pick in 2022, correct?
Yes. Yep.
6th-round pick.
Did Jordan Addison publicly apologize for blowing you off at last
I didn't even try
Tuesday?
again. No, we're done talking. No, we're
I
done.
feel like he owes the world an apology. This is one of the most popular football podcasts in America. How dare he disrespect one of the hosts?
Blew right by me.
I'm out on Jordan Addison now.
I said Jordan, and he didn't. And so I said, "Do you got a second?" And I got the complete just bang gone.
What about Lucky Jack? Is Lucky Jackson getting some catches? XFL's Lucky Jackson.
He got some run, but I mean, this is a good opportunity for guys that probably wouldn't get time with the ones to get some time.
Do we have any? Maybe you allude to this. Is it because they don't have to put an injury report out until the first week, so they can lie to you about injuries? They don't have to. Is there any indication? Is it upper body, lower body with Jordan Addison? Is there a wrap anywhere? Is it?
I don't see a wrap. Now he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had leggings on, so a wrap would be wrapped up, but I can't tell. He's going through stretching, and that's it. Yes, Declan.
I believe Kevin O'Connell used the word, quote, overly cautious with rookie Jordan Addison. That's what Dane Mitsutani tweeted out to the press conference. So, overly cautious.
I mean, they were being overly cautious when Daniil Hunter tweaked his neck getting out of bed the wrong way, and then he missed 2 years. So
Phil's right.
They're gonna lie until September 10th, basically.
But he said yes, day to day. So I would expect him back at some point soon. So as far as the potential DEFCON goes, Addison below Jefferson, just because at least I can see him. I can put the peepers on him.
Okay. By the way, if you guys are hanging out with us here live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, or if you're watching this maybe after the fact, you can help us out by clicking the subscribe button and the like button so we can help spread the word about this awesome community of Vikings fans that you have all helped us build here. And a shout out real quick to our friends at Athletic Greens. AG1 is like nutritional insurance to start your day. 1 scoop mixed with a bottle of water, and you've got your full allotment of nutrients for the day. 75 high-quality ingredients that give old Macadac here important daily nutrients. Because, sometimes you're on the run, or maybe you haven't gotten groceries or whatever it is. Like, you fall behind your eating schedule, and you're just eating on the fly. This is where AG1 comes in so handy, whether it's first thing in the morning or maybe it's sometime middle of the day. It helps lift that brain fog, helps heighten your energy levels, helps with my gut health. Dialed in, ready to unleash OTA takes with Judd and Declan. So if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/purple daily, athleticgreens.com/purple daily. If you want to go even further with your health and just lose a bunch of weight this summer, Livia is here, as they've been for a couple years, helping Purple Daily listeners and viewers.
They sure have. And not only are they here, but they are here for 1 week only with a special offer that is absolutely fantastic. It's called the Premier All Access offer of 50% off, plus you get a free gift, and you could lose up to, get this, 15 pounds or more by the 4th of July. How would you like to go into the 4th of July looking good, feeling good, and have gotten 50% off the program and a free gift? This offer ends on Friday, so as they say in the business, do not delay. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com. Livia Weight Control Centers, Livia.com. Right now, 50% off plus a free gift is where your weight loss journey starts.
Your journey for peace of mind and for throttle therapy on a lake somewhere can start with either Miller Marine or Power Lodge. Power Lodge locations in Brainerd, Ramsey, and Onamia. Miller Marine in St. Cloud. We're talking about the biggest Bennington pontoon dealers you're going to find in the country here. So, I mean, this last weekend was just gorgeous, perfect for getting out on a body of water. So stop into Power Lodge or Miller Marine and continue your decompression as a football fan this offseason, Judd.
Absolutely. And I mean, Sports Dad can speak to this from firsthand experience, but throttle therapy in this state with our teams, absolutely necessary. Think about it. Think about all of the stress. Think about, the Vikings or the Twins, an 18-game playoff losing streak, and then think about being out on that Bennington. Throttle therapy, you bet it is. Relax and enjoy it.
Dude, pontoon life for the next few months. PowerLodge.com or MillerMarine.com. It all starts at the lodge, the Power Lodge. All right, let's get into some things you observed from the actual practice session today.
Yep. Actually, I want to get to talking point 3, which pertains to training camp and is an interesting move. And I think it's where the future of this league in the preseason is going. What did you say?
Declan called this. Declan said they're going to host, right? They're going to host a joint practice.
No, they're going to do 2 this year. So because they have one fewer.
Did he specify one? Did he specify one?
I just said no. I did not specify one. No.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. It says 1 and only 1 in all caps. So I don't know.
Oh, no, it's 2. It's 2 because
it's actually 3. No.
The Vikings have 1 fewer regular season game in the 17-game rotation now. So they get the extra preseason home game. Oh, goody. And with that, they're going to play their final 2 of the 3 preseason games are going to be Tennessee and Arizona. And both of those teams before those games are going to come in early in the week and have 2 days of joint practices each against the Vikings, like San Francisco did last year. Now, what's the big deal about this? I'm going to tell you. This gives teams an opportunity first to ratchet up the pace, but it's more controlled. So it's not a preseason game, but it's definitely done at a more aggressive pace. You're not doing it against your teammates. And it also allows teams to work on things against opponents in live drills. I think you're going to see the preseason cut down to 1 or 2 games eventually, but I think these joint practices are going to become the norm because they offer you competition from an opponent without actually just playing a game in which guys get hurt on the turf. Like these practices will both be here, Phil. So they'll be conducted on the grass here. And the nice thing too is this facility is perfect for it because 1, right by the airport, and 2, it's huge. So like it can house 2 teams. So I think this is the wave of the future. The Vikings hosting 2 joint practices.
And it's just you get into these preseason games and you sort of hope, hopefully the first team offense in the 3 drives they're going to have runs into a red zone situation against an opponent, right?
Exactly.
You're just like at the whim of if they go 3 and out, did they really get work in the preseason game? But here you can simulate. All right, it's a red zone and 2-minute drill all in one. Go against the Titans defense. So it really is. And then what winds up happening? Sorry, season ticket holders that get roped into these preseason games, you wind up not getting to see starters because they got their work in practice. So, but you can still buy a $14 lager somewhere. So
I kept it very open-ended. I just said they'll host another joint practice during training camp. So
you did.
No,
he did.
He
did.
But I will say,
this. Good job.
Tomorrow's accountability session on Mackie and Judd, Phil. One of the most all-time bad beats I think I've ever experienced.
You specifically?
Yeah.
And you've had
the
some
Mackie and Judd.
really
Like this.
That's a hell of a tease, Declan. That's like a 24-hour out tease.
I looked this up real quick.
Look at you.
This one's quite the stinger on the original edition. I'm looking at it.
I've yet to go through these.
If you want me to say it, I can say it.
No.
Oh, I don't want to blow this.
I just want to go through the spreadsheet because Declan only has a few. Let's see.
Involves the twin.
Hold on.
No, I don't want to hear it. I'm now excited for tomorrow. Don't tell me.
Side to side.
Don't tell me.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
Oh, my God. It's the worst bad beat in Write That Down history.
Are you serious?
Tomorrow on Mackie and Judd.
Don't
on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd.
I don't know.
It is I don't think this is hyperbole. We've seen some bad beats. This is the worst beat in the history of Write That Down. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Anyhow, all right, back to the OTA observations.
Okay, on-field observations from today. Now, not that these are going to be probably a big deal because of all the rule changes, although we're not sure yet. But we talked to our friend Tyler Fornes last week about the potential of Kene Nwangwu being in trouble because if kickoff returns are neutralized, are they going to keep him on the 53? Interesting today, the 3 guys I saw returning kicks were Tyson Chandler, Kene, of course, and then Brandon Powell.
Okay.
So those appear to be. So if Kene is cut, I think Ty Chandler might be your combo guy
I like
the
that.
backup to Madison, and then return kicks as well, because we all know on game day, the most important thing can be the flexibility to play multiple places.
And don't you think it's more likely, okay, Kene Wangu, obviously the best kick returner option, but if the Vikings determine, God, with the new rules, he's only going to average like 1.5 kick returns a game, and we never use him on offense, Ty Chandler is more likely, especially if Dalvin Cook is gone. Am I wrong on this? Like, Ty Chandler is more likely to play a role on offense. Like, he's more likely to get 50 to 100 carries or more, or be on third down.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And he did return, let's see here, 38 kicks for 850 yards in college between Tennessee and North Carolina. In fact, as a freshman, he was one of the primary kick returners at Tennessee as a freshman. Ty Chandler was. He had a kickoff return touchdown as a freshman. 17 kick returns, an average of 25 yards and a touchdown.
Scoggins must have loved him. Chip Scoggins,
Yeah.
Ball's #1 fan. Don't forget that.
Yep. Interesting.
And as for the status of 7th round pick Dwayne McBride, who I think also is expected to compete, I've been to all the open sessions so far. There have been 3 of them, a rookie camp, and then 2 OTAs the past 2 Tuesdays. Dwayne McBride yet to practice yet. Something's hurt. I don't know exactly what, something's wrong. So he hasn't practiced yet. So he's not. So it's Wongwu, it's Ty Chandler, Madison, and those are the 3 primary backs getting snaps.
And then how much 11 on 11 was there today? Like any ballpark of how many snaps or?
Oh, there's a decent amount of it. It was the last full period. So there were probably 15 to 20 plays.
And was it
themselves.
mostly Madison running with the ones? Did
Yes.
anyone else mix in with the ones or just?
Yeah, I think Chandler might have a bit. And, at this time of year too, they sort of just mix and match guys as well. So it doesn't mean a ton. But McBride, at some point in time here, I don't know if he's going to be back soon. I expected that he'd probably be back by now. But if you're a 7th round pick and can't practice this time of year, it does eventually have an impact of sorts. Like if you're Ty Chandler now and you had the year and you're hurt, that's less than ideal. I would imagine a 7th round pick. I'm not saying that it's going to cost him his roster spot. I do think it hurts not being able to show what you can do in the spring when you're a late round draft pick.
Another maybe interesting thing, maybe, I don't know if KOC would answer this, Kwesi might, but Kwesi offered up after the draft was over that, hey, we actually had a starter's grade on Dwayne McBride, even though he was a 7th round pick. So we had a starter's grade on him. Well, Ty Chandler was a 5th round pick. They drafted Ty Chandler 100 picks or whatever, 70 picks before they drafted McBride.
Yep.
A year later. Would that not then mean that they probably had a starter grade on Ty Chandler too when they drafted him?
It's a good question. Yeah, they probably did then. Who knows? Like, I don't even know exactly what that means sometimes, like potential starter in the future or what. But yes, he is definitely, like, if you were to look at McBride and Chandler, I got to think Chandler is well ahead of him on the depth chart. Mm-hmm. And he looks good in practice, so that's a good thing. Madison, by the way, working much harder, I think, so far on his pass catching skills, which is a good thing. I want a guy that can catch passes.
I think we kind of assume because we see him spell Dalvin Cook that he's like the 3rd down back. He's really not. He's not. PFF actually had him as one of the worst pass catching running backs in the NFL last year. So it is something that, he's not. It's not maybe what we think as we just sort of look back at his career.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Okay. Shifting to the defensive side of the ball, I think we are seeing what we expected, which is this. Evans and Booth are the outside corners when Byron Murphy Jr. is inside. And it looks like from today, and again, it's May, but it looks like Murphy and Evans are the outside starters right now. Here's the wild card. Here's what I'm very curious to see. They continue to put out packages on defense that use multiple safeties, okay? Not surprisingly, Harrison Smith is one. Bynum gets some time. Scene, I think, got fewer snaps today because Harrison Smith was back. But here's the wild card of a hybrid. And this is reckless speculation from what I've seen, okay?
Wow,
so, it's trying to put together the pieces of a potential May puzzle. Again, very early. I think they are very intrigued by what Josh Metellus can do. Josh Metellus is blitzing quite a bit. He's sort of a hybrid himself. Like, I think if there's going to be a surprise guy to get playing time, and, keep in mind too, O'Connell likes him a lot. He was a guy that Brian O'Neill, after he got hurt against the Packers before the playoffs, suggested that Metellus be named a team captain, and that was approved. I think Josh Metellus is a guy to definitely keep an eye on for major playing time, possibly not in like a normal safety role, but in some ways I see him doing what we always expected Scene to do. And I wonder if they think, Brian Flores, I guess, thinks he is better suited for that than Scene potentially.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, there were some signs last year that the team, the work that Josh Metellus did on special teams, and there was just a lot of good chatter around the team about Josh Metellus. So that's not surprising at all. And he's a versatile guy who can, I don't know that he's a guy that's going to take over a starting spot for week one, but if we get into some of these, as you've talked about, like some dime packages where there's a sixth defensive back on the field, or
right,
maybe you're replacing a linebacker with a safety and downsizing big nickel.
Big nickel. You're going big nickel, no question about it.
That's right. Sorry, I got to hit the football sounder. Big nickel. I can see it. At some point, it's so early in the offseason workouts here, but I would think that Blackman at some point might get some run with the ones once we get to training camp, but he's a rookie, and there's a reason why they drafted Booth and Evans last year. Kwesi's first draft, they clearly like those guys. Mm-hmm. But you said off mic too that this was just, again, it was high intensity, maybe even more than, because you're not supposed to really go all that hard in OTAs, but there were some comments last week from the offense saying, boy, haven't seen that in a while.
Brian Flores, I'm trying to think of the nicest way, because this is a family show. Brian Flores is not messing around. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Oh.
They are, dare I say it, they are installing attitude. That is what's being installed here. Like, this is going to be, I have no idea how good it's going to be, okay? But I think what you're going to see starting in week one is going to be a breath of fresh air for all of the BS that we saw last year, So this is, this is an intensity that you rarely see in spring practices. And it's an intensity that I think no matter who's playing, it's going to be demanded. It's not going to be like, I hope you play hard. He's going to run a incredibly tight ship that is going to, I think the fair thing is to say this. He's going to run a tight ship that borders on penalties and hopefully doesn't get called. Like, there's no messing around here. This is, for May, this was incredible.
Yeah. I think we got to say goodbye to our guy,
Speaking
Dex
of
here.
installations.
We got it going on?
I got an installer that's in or out to solve this internet problem once.
We may also have a...
Love to hear that.
If it doesn't get installed properly,
right.
There's a technicality that I may just have to lose out on for write that down tomorrow. Yeah. Let's just say write that down across both shows.
Can't wait.
Is going to be juicy tomorrow.
I can't wait for Declan's bad beat.
It's incredible how awful that beat was.
I realized it last night, and then I had to confirm it today, and it's bad.
Didn't sleep all night, huh?
No, I didn't.
It's hilarious.
All right, boys.
All right, there goes Dex, and
Bye, Dex.
Judd, we'll empty Judd's notebook here as we go through his OTA observations, and the rest of whatever's in your notebook is presented by our friends at Finch Home Solutions.
Exactly right, because guess what? In football, the team out on the field that I just got done watching, they got the answers, or at least we hope they do. But one thing I know is that our friends at Finch, Cody and his team, when it comes to electrical work, they have the answers and they deliver every time. Installation, repair, or any other services that you need. Storm damage, guess what? Cody and Finch, they can fix it. Outdoor lighting projects, car chargers, yep. Flickering lights, which is actually a problem, which can be dangerous. Finch is going to come to your house and they are going to fix it. They came to mind a few months back. I had a downstairs light in my laundry room not working. Guess what? They fixed it. They were fast, efficient, courteous. They were outstanding. And now I want you to give them a try. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com. 612-357-2604. And of course, tell them Purple Daily sent you. FinchHomeSolutions.com.
All right. What else is in that digital notebook of yours from OTAs today?
Mekhi Blackman, you talked about him. Mekhi Blackman, second team more so. outside and inside cornerback. I think he might be the backup to Byron Murphy in the slot, which would make perfect sense. So Booth and Evans are playing.
That's a late 90s wrestling reference. Andrew
Okay, I didn't
says
get it at
Steve
all,
Blackman is better than Mekhi Blackman. Steve Blackman, the lethal weapon from the late 90s WWE. Yes.
So anyway, Booth and Evans are definitely ahead of Blackman on the depth chart at the outside corners. But I think that from what I could ascertain today, that it's going to be Murphy and Blackman as the slot corner. So if something happens to Murphy, I would not be surprised at all to see him play. Asamoah is going to be, I can safely say this, the primary linebacker. Jordan Hicks is going to play with him. But I think if they go big nickel and take a safety, put him on the field, take a linebacker off, I think Hicks comes off. I think Asamoah, unless he gets hurt, is going to play an absolute ton. And again, going back to what we talked about last Tuesday, Phil, this all gets back to speed, intensity. I mean, the Vikings want to be young and aggressive. They don't want a repeat of Kendricks and Hicks. Not that those guys were terrible, but they never really provided what they wanted. And I find the intensity of these practices from a defensive standpoint intriguing, because O'Connell has had to sign off on this. And so I really think that this shows in some ways a growth of Kevin as a coach, because a year ago, it was all about installing the offense, working with Kirk, trying to get things as perfected as possible. This is more about the offense is installed. I'm sure there's tweaks being made, but more importantly, this is Flores now being allowed to make his mark, because there would be some coaches, I think, no question, especially offensive ones, who would say, let's slow this thing down. Let's do this and that. O'Connell, as far as I can tell, is not saying that. O'Connell, I think he learned a valuable lesson. I think he was sold a bill of goods by Ed last year. Like, yeah, it's going to be great when the season starts. I think now he's like, okay, let's see why it's going to be great. And I don't want to be in September saying, this isn't what I expected. So it's a very interesting change, I think, in philosophy of how they're doing things.
I see a few comments here. Purple Punch 420. If Flores gets the defense into the top 15, he's gone next season, because he obviously has been close to head coaching jobs. This might be a 2-year project. It was a 2-year project defensively in Miami when he took the head coaching job. That first year, it was a lot of younger defensive players. They're installing a new aggressive system. They had some moments, but that team was not really ready to compete at a high level. And I think that was the year where they kind of fought toward the end of the season. They had just a historically bad team, and then they fought toward the end of the season, but that defense was still pretty bad. And then year 2 in Miami is when they took the big jump. They were flirting with top 5 scoring off defense. I think they led the league in interceptions. So there's a good chance with all the young bodies on this defense and the fact that they were 31st in yardage given up last year, this might be a 2-year process. And then Brian Flores gets back in the mix. I'm sure he'll interview for head coaching jobs, but there's no guarantees at this point. And you know what? Teams might want to see that lawsuit get finished up too before they
that might be
officially make a hire. And we don't know how long that's going to take. So,
I think there has to be a preparation for him to be one and done and leave. But yes, it could take 2 years. I think the question is this: if they just spike up enough, because I mean, this was, to call a spade, this was a dead ass defense, right? I think if they spike up, it might get him a job. O'Connell and Kwesi would be very smart to have a replacement in mind and hope that it turns out to be 2 years.
Yeah.
That's probably fair.
Do you have any, we got to wrap this thing here. Do you have any other final observations? We can also sprinkle some stuff in tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week too.
I think the electronic notebook on my phone now, I think it's empty.
Boom.
I gave you everything I had.
40 minutes of Judd's OTA observations here.
Gave it my all.
Live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. When is the next media availability? Is it next week? Don't they have another one before we get to the mandatories?
Yeah, I think they do. It might be next week or the week after that. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll as far as practices go, yes, because they've got the Thielen softball game that's now going to be hosted by Harrison Smith at the Saints Stadium.
So Thielen's not even going to be there for the, and I get it. These
and I don't even know if it's officially like his softball game now or Harrison's, but I guess Harrison's going to stand in as the guest captain, if nothing else.
The Adam Thielen softball event hosted by anyone else except for Adam Thielen, who's now in.
And not Justin Jefferson, because he's not here.
No, and we wouldn't want him tweaking a knee rounding second base.
Amen.
So, all right, Judd's work is done here. You can also find some of the videos from videographer Judd across the Score North social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Oh, dang.
He's here. He's there. He's every bleeping where. He's Judd. And you can find Purple Daily even during the offseason, 365 days a year. We're back at it tomorrow with predictions and also an accountability session. And our theme weeks start here in a couple weeks. We're going to have a Kirk Cousins week. We're going to have various ranking weeks. So we've got all sorts of fun things planned June, July into training camp during the off-season months here. So, all right, good stuff. Go back to the media room and decompress.
Media room. I'm going to go up to Kwesi's office or O'Connell's office, just kick around, kick back, possibly share a drink. I don't know.
Or maybe you should go stop and see if Booney's over there training some young offensive linemen on the other side.
I saw Hutch here. Steve was here.
Steve Hutchinson was here?
Unrecognizable. He probably weighs 205.
God, it's the new thing. All these guys. Yeah.
But I mean,
I ran into Brian Nick Hartwig, the old center for the Chargers out there. I was at Boone's training thing. And dude, like that guy is chiseled now. He literally looks like a gladiator. Just Hutch down like 75 pounds.
He's so thin.
Incredible.
I mean, he looks great, but
those guys are getting on Livia. That's what helps. I'm sure.
That's what Livia. Yep. Livia.com. Call him today.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Judd's OTA observations. This is Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.